LC making the fancy intro for the Wednesday Night Live show. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells, got Evan Veith. It's the night before the draft, and that means we were all watching that cruddy movie about the Browns, right? But instead we're going to talk a little bit more about where we expect some of the Longhorns to go, especially with the first round being tomorrow night. Before we keep on going, though, got to make sure you sign up for InsideTexas.com. You can get 4 months for just $1. We're letting this go basically all the way through the very end of spring ball. So if you join today, have not done so, you will be able to get basically everything leading up to the beginning of the season by that time. We know you're going to want to stick around. One other thing that we got to tell you about, Friday, head to the dish. Inside Texas will have a tailgate giveaway presented by our friends at Academy. You can win all these great things. We'll be over in that left field berm, basically just behind Straightaway Center, right by the tennis center, where a bunch of other tailgate tents will be. Should be a great time with the whole Inside Texas crew as we get ready for Jim Schlossnagle to take on his old team. So if you show up, obviously Academy has all these great things you can win in a raffle. No purchase necessary to enter. Must be present, must be 18. And we look forward to seeing you there on the 25th. We'll be going in about the early afternoon. But gentlemen,
Joe, real quick about the giveaway. Real quick. My mom wants to know if she is eligible.
you must be present to win. Tell her to drive on down.
Okay, we'll do.
Tell her to
she
bring
wants this setup. Like, that is the best setup.
I want it too.
Academy is the best. She's like, Academy is amazing. It's great. I want that setup.
We'll get her and maybe we'll get Polly together for Academy's next advertising campaign. But today we're going to be talking about the NFL draft. Earlier this week, Evan, you're paying attention to the draft real closely. Yep. I'm trying to pay attention to it, and one of the players that is likely to be picked in the first round, that's what we're going to talk about most today, is Kelvin Banks. OT1 in the draft. I don't care what anybody else says. And Evan, I think Steve Sarkisian even commented on that. People are trying to say that a 6'5" and an 8", 315-pound guy with with a great wingspan is a guard, but Steve Sarkisian pushed against that this past week.
Yeah, I think this guard talk almost started from before the combine, and it's just carried over, even though the numbers didn't carry over. And everything about Banks measured in to be 60th percentile or roughly to be an offensive tackle in the NFL, which, he's not going to be the biggest tackle in the league, but not everyone's going to be, Wayne Johnson or Jordan Mailata on the Eagles. But yeah, I think he's OT1 here. It's either him or Membu from Missouri, who's mainly a right tackle in his college career at Missouri. He's big. He's great in the run game, probably better than Banks in that specific thing. But if Banks is actually the number one left tackle specifically in the draft, then it is hard to see him falling out of the top 10, which you'll see some lower down in this article. But I do think he's OT1 in this class. It's either him, Membu, or Simmons from Ohio State, who's got off the field and injury concerns. I think Will Campbell's probably a guard at this current time. So Banks should get this kind of fall to reverse right around tomorrow. That's what happens with these offensive tackles, is you hear about them falling and suddenly it's draft day, and then a team says, our offensive line sucks. We need a tackle. Time to pick that button. So I think Banks is still going to be a top 15 pick like we were talking about before the season.
When did Will Campbell become a guard?
When his
arm measure like a tackle.
T-Rex arms.
Yeah, the T-Rex.
How tall? Okay, I was about to say. I mean, good Lord. Woo.
Chris Bennett.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Chris Bennett brought this up. Sark seemed dumbfounded about that. I've written about that plenty. But
you know who to blame? It's the draftniks.
But
that's who you blame.
Well, he talked about that, but the draftniks and all these people who have mock drafts and stuff like that, they keep mocking Kelvin Banks into the first round. And if you look at some of the data,
guards don't go in the top 10.
Exactly, unless they're Quentin Nelson. But if you look at some of the data from the past few years, tackles go off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first round. There's 1 or 2 guards a year, and the Texans are drafting offensive tackle or offensive line this year because they took a guard in the first round with Kenyon Green, who loved in college, not a great NFL player. But Justin, we're Dane Brugler fans. Yes. Dane even says could play guard, but I think Dane also understands that, as I got to make an adjustment on a door real quick, that tackle is where Kelvin Banks needs to go.
That's it. And you said our man, Dane Brugler, look, he is the author of The Beast, and it is a beast. He's been on this show many times because we're big fans of Dane. You said it, Joe. Guards don't go in the top 10. Doesn't happen. And if this is just a product of the recruit, Nick. There's 4 months. I don't know who told these guys it's okay to do this for 4 months, but they do. And that's just part of it. We knew Matthew Golden was going to rise, fall, and then sink somewhere in between. Kelvin rise, fall, sink somewhere in between. Same thing with Jahdae Barron. But here's what I understand, and this is talking to a couple of those guys like Dane and some others. Kelvin Banks, the Bears want an offensive tackle, period, at number 10. I don't think he gets past number 10. If he does get past number 10, I had a source tell me they think Houston would trade up with the Dallas Cowboys at 12 to make that swap picks. And I think Dallas would pick up a second rounder this year, potentially a second rounder next year. That's assuming that the Cowboys would make a good trade. That's not a done deal by any stretch. They are notorious, terrible at general managing. I mean, between him and Nico Harrison, Cowboys and Mavericks fans want to eat a gun. And so at this point, he's going to number 10. I don't think the Bears are going to let him ride out. And if they do, I think the Texans will swoop in there. And it's good because I think the Cowboys need to trade back. They need more picks. And I don't think it's as top heavy in this draft as it's been in the past. I think you can get a starter in the first 3 rounds. Kelvin Banks is an offensive tackle. And you know how you can tell? Because next year on week 1, when he's lined up at left tackle, everyone's going to go, oh, okay.
I can buy him eventually turning into a guard if he loses a step in his career. But, I mean, we got to
maybe
watch
out of
him.
Necessity, maybe.
We got to watch him against Will Anderson and Felix Udoka-Uzoma and Dallas Turner and Michael Williams.
And everyone thinks your franchise left tackle has to look like Jonathan Ogden. No, it doesn't. It can look like Justin Blaylock. It doesn't have to be Orlando Pace. You don't have to be 6'7" and do all this crazy stuff. His film is the best supporter of playing offensive tackle. All the dudes he's faced in 3 years and not missing any games, buddy, this dude is a tackle through and through. I love it.
Let's go through, Evan, some of the stuff that you wrote about floor, expectation, and ceiling. And I think you nailed it with the floor. The Texans, like I mentioned, need some O-line help, got rid of Laramie Tunsil. And this is also just assuming, too, that the Texans don't jump up as well.
Yeah, that was my idea with this. It's like there's just no way if the Texans are there at 25 and he's sitting there, they're not rushing that card into the draft selection because he has to go there if that's the case. I don't think he's going that late. That's why it's the floor. I see no role in which he's down to 25. Justin, I agree with you with that 10-11 range is where I'd like to see him go. I think the Bears, with all this Genty news about him being like essentially going to the Jaguars at 5, seems like the current consensus, but the Raiders too right there. It's either the Bears at 10 or 49ers at 11. 49ers have more like a defensive line need, but Trent Williams isn't getting any younger, and they want a franchise left tackle specifically behind him.
And he can play right tackle while Trent Williams is finishing his Hall of Fame career.
And I think both those teams are ones where maybe he doesn't start at left tackle year 1. That's a steep jump for sure, especially when say you're going into the NFC North and you're going against Aiden Hutchinson or whoever is going to be rushing against you off the edge. But I think that 10-11 range is where he's at, and then you can go down to the ceiling. I do see a world where if teams like in that 4, 5, 6 range, say the Patriots take a tackle, you see other teams take a tackle ahead of them. Maybe the Jets at 7, they keep saying they want to tackle as well, and Banks would fit that. You put him alongside Oluf Ashnu, and then you got 2 bruisers there for the rest of their careers. So I think that's that 7 to 12 range is where I'd expect him to go.
Kelvin Banks also has put so much positive mojo into the world. The Jets aren't allowed. It's not happening.
He's too good of a guy to go there.
Too good. That man has faced too many things, him and his family, for him to wind up playing for the New York Jets. That is not happening. Not allowed.
Thinking about some of the offenses for my I feel like I know enough. San Francisco, easy fit with the Shanahan offense. That's Kelvin Banks has been doing stuff like that since he arrived on campus. I'm sure Ben Johnson and the Bears, he'd be fine working in that offense. Although I wonder what it's like protecting Caleb Williams, considering he goes out of the pocket. I gotta admit, I know nothing about Tanner Engstrand, who our guy Aaron Glenn chose to be the offensive coordinator for the Jets. But this guy fits anything. He fits into any system, I feel like. And I do we think he's first off the board of the Longhorns?
Oh, yes, of the Longhorns. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I like that one. Sark had a lot of good points about that the other day, just saying like, hey, draftniks do what draftniks do. They hear information from teams. Teams are motivated to get that guy there, and it's a big deal. And I'm Chris Bennett. You always bring it. I remember writing about this. Oh man, this is going to be a fun blast from the past. When the Brockermeyers committed to Alabama, I think I wrote something that said between Blake Brockermeyer going in the first round and whatever point their commitment was, Alabama under Saban, which came 13-ish years after Brockermeyer got drafted, had put more O-linemen into the league than Texas did at that time. And that was still coming on the heels of Cosme and Williams and what happened in the Brockermeyer's career, whether injury or otherwise, it did occur. I think James ended up at Miami, right? Went from TCU to Miami. But this has been a long time coming. And Cosme was close a few years ago. I think Connor Williams was close too.
Cosme and Connor Williams got dung for the same thing. You amazing tackle in college, but we don't know if that translated to the next level. Connor Williams found a home at center, by the way. He was an all-pro that year. He found a home at center before that injury.
Well, Cosme's made a lot of money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He got hurt last year too, and that put a major. That might have been part of why they traded for Jeremy Tunsil in the offseason.
He was, but the Commanders moved him inside, right?
He was playing both, but he played guard this last year.
Right, but still, Chris Bennett, like you mentioned, first Texas offensive lineman to go in the first round in over 2 decades. It's going to be a big achievement for Kelvin Banks. Everybody knew he was a 3-and-out player, lived up to every bit of potential. Missed almost 2 games, most of A&M, the Georgia game. You couldn't have asked for anything more than what you got out of Kelvin Banks. Got to thank Mario Cristobal for the assist, but Kyle Flood.
He was always flipping to Texas, Joe.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that one. And here's the thing that Draftniks, and we'll go to the next one, doesn't understand. We've got to get to know Kelvin over the last 8 years. You and I, Joe, especially. He's the same kid right now as he was when we met him when he was 16. Remember right before he committed to Oklahoma State, I went to that camp up in Oklahoma, and him and Cam Dewberry. They were dudes up there. And his personality hasn't changed at all. He is the exact same human being he was at 16 as he is right now. To me, that's a franchise guy.
Got to hit a word from our sponsor. That's David McClellan, but I do have a funny Dewberry and Banks story right after this. Oh, wait. Nope. That's just the banner. I want to hear LC talk about him.
I'm just going to say, guys, you probably need a fiduciary financial advisor, and I've got the guy for you. His name is David McClellan with Forum Financial. He works broadly and deeply with his clients as a financial life coach, and he should know something about coaching because he won several national championships as a swimmer for the University of Texas. He specializes in financial planning and has contributed numerous articles to Kipling on the topic of retirement tax bombs. So contact David today to be your fiduciary financial planner and schedule a 1-hour consultation to assess your financial situations. The free consultation is available, so just give him a call. The number is 312-933-8823. That's 312-933-8823. His email is also in the description below.
All right.
I want to hear it, Joe.
I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, maybe right after the 2021 season, he was speaking at the Touchdown Club of Houston, which I got to put that on the board. That reminds me. They have their event this upcoming Monday, SARK, Touchdown Club of Houston. I think it's if you Google Touchdown Club of Houston, it's easy to find a way to get a ticket to go. It's a great event, supports so many different scholarships in the city of Houston. It's the Touchdown Club is an organization that every coach that knows they need to recruit Houston, they go to because they know the good that it does for supporting the game of football in the city of Houston. But I think somebody asked him about the offensive line because we all remember how tough that 2021 offensive line was. And he said, like, I'm trying to think. There wasn't anybody out of state in that class, right, from an offensive line? No. So he said, I signed the top 7 of the top 8 offensive linemen in the state of Texas, and the 8th was never going to go to Texas. That 8th, I think, was – say again?
That was Cam, wasn't it?
No. Yeah, Cam Dewberry. And
right.
I think that stems from high school rivalry. Among
Metastasita and Summer Creek.
Yeah.
And Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green had some stroke there too.
Right. And so, once that recruitment reopened when both Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks decommitted from Oregon, I know the Aggies thought they were going to have a chance to get in there. They had a highly ranked class at the time, but I think Kelvin Banks and company made a little bit better of it. Let's talk about Jahdae Barron, Thorpe Award winner. Should have been a unanimous All-American. That still irks me to this day.
The guy nobody was talking about in the first round 12 months ago or even 6 months ago.
Was awesome to see him basically have a dream season for Texas. That dream season is going to earn him a lot of money. And Evan, you say that the floor for him is Minnesota with pick 24. I know they've got a great defense up. They got Kevin O'Connell, who I think is one of the best head coaches, is going to break through soon enough. But on defense, I'm blanking on the name. It's going to bother me, but Brian Flores. He runs a very smart defense, and a very smart player would be something Flores would jump all over.
Yeah, like I said, they blitz like crazy. I think they've doubled the amount of other teams that do it just in neutral passing situations. So that's what Jahdae Barron can do well. And I do think he's going to be a slot at the higher level, most likely be drafted that way. You can maybe see him go outside. But, yeah, Minnesota 24, they just need anyone in the defensive back room. I'd say that Jahdae may be the most versatile, specifically defensive player in this draft. Potentially can play three positions at the NFL level. So you see that run 19, 21, 23, 24. I think that's a spot where he's going to go. I'd love my Steelers to take him at 21. I think that's a great fit. But any of these teams make sense. I had Green Bay being the team because I'm not sure if there's the wide receiver one in this class that they've won. And apart from that, take a cornerback, and you're pretty happy with Jair Alexander probably being gone pretty soon. So I see that 19 through 24 spot being the case because he's probably a slot corner. And like we've been talking about with guards and people talk about with safeties, it's just not a priority position for a lot of teams, but he's so versatile. I could easily see that just out of nowhere being a top 10 pick, and suddenly he's the highest drafted Longhorn.
If he's your starting nickel and therefore kind of your CB3, you're doing great things. And I think he made a ton of money at the combine because Justin, he's 5'11", he's 190. There's some big boys playing wide receiver. Go ahead and look at the Philadelphia Eagles and who they got lined up over there. But the physical traits he put on at the combine just really, really solidified himself as one of the best defensive backs in the draft.
We always knew Jahdae Barron was going to play. We didn't always, let's be honest. But after about his sophomore year, I think we started catching on, okay, this guy's going to probably play in the league on Sundays. But we still didn't know it because he didn't have those overwhelming physical tools. What we knew about him was what we learned in recruiting in his first year at Texas. This kid is a genius. This kid is incredibly intelligent, not just on the football field. Jahdae Barron is a very smart individual off the field as well. The physical attributes came along a little bit later. And what he couldn't, what people thought he couldn't do, he gets to the combine and says, guess what? I can do that too. That's kind of what I think solidified him going in the first round. It's the fact that the physical traits started to match up with all the other with the intangibles, the stuff that you really want. But I mean, these guys are drafted on their physical potential. Let's be honest. He made up for it at the combine. And the thing is, and Evan hit this. This guy played 3 different spots, excelled in 3 different spots. He could move around. People don't remember this guy was hurt 2 years ago when Texas went to Houston. Puts his uniform on at halftime, goes out there and plays corner for the rest of the second half. He wasn't supposed to be on that field. Like, that's who Jahdae Barron is. And the people inside Austin know that. All these other scouts, NFL teams have started learning that about him. I'll be honest. I don't think he goes into the 20s. I don't think he lasts that long. I think if there's been one consistency with Barron, it's been top 10, top 15, top 20 conversation. Like it's been since the combine. It's been, okay, this dude's going in the first round. Travis Hunter is going to be the first corner off the board taken, and for good reason. He is the best corner in college football. He will be one of – do what?
I'm not sure he's a corner.
Oh, I promise you he's a corner. He can be a really good receiver in college, or he can be a really good corner in the NFL. Your choice. He's a corner. I can find 200 receivers. I can't find 2 corners. That's the difference in the NFL. And that's why I think corners will go higher. I think that's what makes Barron more valuable. Ted McMillan might be your first receiver. Matthew Golden, who we're going to talk about, could be your first receiver. But there's, 10 more coming after him. Hunter, Barron, the numbers there are small at corner. I think that brings him a little bit more value. I love Miami at 13. They had some success a few years ago coming to Texas and grabbing Brandon Jones, who wound up playing pretty well from the Dolphins, parlayed that into a contract with the Denver Broncos. I like the Dolphins there. I think you're good there with your expectation. But I promise you, Travis Hunter's a corner. Could he play receiver in the NFL? Absolutely. He is freakishly talented. There is not another player in this draft that has his freakiness. They just don't. They don't have the twitch, and my light just went out. That's what that light's trying to tell you something. The light's out on this conversation. He's going 13 to the Dolphins.
The one thing about Barron is what I like for him to be. Well, Travis Hunter's in his own category for me. I do think I disagree, Justin. They're going to put him at wide receiver. I feel like just because that athleticism is different.
Yeah, because running 150 plays is normal, and there's no way he's going to get hurt or break down when you spend $25 million on a guy and decide to play him both ways. Let's see how that works.
And while I would like Barron to be, again, Hunter is here, and then you talk about the corners. I'd like for Barron to be the first corner off the board. But I'm also okay with Will Johnson being ahead of him on boards like that. The injury.
You don't think Barron separated from Johnson at the combine?
Hey, aren't you the one that talks about drafting on traits?
I do, but Johnson lacks the speed that Barron
does lack the speed.
Yeah, and Barron supplied that in demand.
I will say what
more even than what we thought they were 6 months ago. That's all.
What helps Barron is the next 3 guys, Johnson, Morrison, and Ravel, all were injured last year. So he's the healthiest of the group. And then if Hunter's, we'll see, but he's going to go top 5 no matter what.
I love the Dolphins pick too, just because all the stuff they have going on with Jalen Ramsey.
And they like Texas guys. There's McDaniel and Sark talk quite a bit, so there's a familiarity there as well. I think Evan nailed that.
I think their other corner is Storm Duck, who did not have a great year last year.
How did he not go to Oregon? I'll never know.
Hey, that's Mac Brown for you. So I think that Miami makes a lot of sense. But the ceiling.
You're not drafted to play nickel, by the way. Not number 13. If he goes 13, he's playing corner.
Yeah, he's going to play outside.
We saw this, and we saw Michael Huff, a former first-round pick of the Raiders, talk to Jahdae Barron a lot after the pro day, be super close. And I think this is bold, but I can see it. Now, are the Raiders at 6? I thought they may have been.
No, they're at 6. Jacksonville is going to.
I had a
go ahead.
I had a typo when I originally made this. I had 2 number 7 picks. Raiders are at 6, and it was Genty for a while, and then since this articles came out, it's been Genty at 5 to the Jags. So it's this
Evan,
is more likely.
Are you buying this that Jackson
I am
looking at running back now? Because I can't tell. They were all over Mason Graham for 2.5 months. This seems like a big change.
I don't like it, but I buy it. Okay. I think it might happen. I don't think they should do it.
I mean, do they still have
the Raiders are going to screw it up. I mean, you just be honest.
They will. It's another team you don't want a Longhorn to go to, especially. I mean, Jahdae's killed every interview he did.
Especially when you fire the general manager that had one of the best drafts in the last 20 years of an NFL franchise. The Raiders, they're still a mess.
Etienne's off his contract next year.
Travis Etienne does.
He's bad now,
and he hasn't really. Oh. He was. I think he was a reach to begin with, and I think he's been dinged up a little bit. There's a lot of problems in Jacksonville. I figured they would just throw more numbers at the defense because their defense is incredible because they don't overthink it. And to me, I like Genty. I would never draft a running back in the top 10. Unless you're Bijan or Barry Sanders, I'm not doing that.
They now have the youngest GM in the NFL, Gladstone, coming over for the Rams, and I just don't think it's the Rams' idea. Like he made his money off Puka and Kyron in the 5th, not Genty at top 5, and it's young, versatile defensive players in the first round. So I think Graham's still probably going to be the guy, but I don't like Genty really there.
We'll finish up with Matthew Golden in a second, but first a word from our other sponsor, and that is Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
I forgot who said it. Somebody on Twitter said it. Matthew Golden only takes cool pictures. And that's evident here on this one. Before we get to Golden, all three of these guys, these three projected first rounders, and you see this with Steve Sarkisian, you see this common across a bunch of different high level programs. 3 different developmental stories. Jahdae Barron, 5th-year guy who turned it on as a cornerback in his final season in Austin. Kelvin Banks, a 3-and-out player. If everybody knew was going to be a 3-and-out player. Then Justin, in the modern era, now you got a transfer portal guy who had 2 really good years of Power 5 football at U of H, even put some plays against the Longhorns on tape, transfers in for 1 year, and makes the most of it to become a first-round pick.
You know who is noticing this trend at receiver? Recruits. Recruits are seeing this trend. They're seeing these guys coming into Austin. 1 good year can change your life. Matthew Golden is the poster child for that. And remember, everyone was talking about Isaiah Bond in the spring and even in the summer. Bond this, Bond that. And it's like, wait a minute. The most quiet of this group is probably the fastest. He's definitely got the best hands. And then him and Quinn just started clicking. Like it was, I believe it started around Michigan. I think he had the no-look one, the no-look catch against Colorado State. But it just shows you what can happen in Austin in 1 year. Matthew Golden watched Xavier Worthy, and he watched Adonai Mitchell, a guy that was developed, and then a guy that they brought in for the year. Both went in the first round. Name a position outside of the offensive line that the NFL is taking a chunk out of more. It's receiver, and they are noticing it in recruiting. Matthew Golden is such a good story because he still doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. We're so used to wide receivers being boisterous and extravagant and high drama. Matthew Golden is the polar opposite of that.
Yep.
I can remember talking to him after games and on Saturdays, trying to pull something out of him. Like he just doesn't say much. He's, some guys like Trey Wisner and Jahdae Barron, they can talk about stuff all the way. Matthew Golden was we did this, we executed, and we won. He was just to the point. He was always open. I don't know what it was. That dude was always open last year. He was Quinn Ewers' savior, to say the least. And I think he'll be the 3rd of the Horns that are drafted tomorrow night. I don't know where exactly. I'm thinking somewhere 18, 26, 27, somewhere in that range, because I think at the end of the day, Tech McMillan is hard. Look, he's got all those, the size, the physical tools that you want. He may not be the best football player, though. Travis Hunter has every tool you could ever imagine. He is a freaking alien, but may not actually be a receiver. Matthew Golden might be the safest receiver in this draft. You know exactly what you're getting. He's been consistent since high school. Texas recruited this guy out of Klein Kane. It just didn't work out. They picked him up from Houston for that 1 year rental. He was incredible. That to me shows Texas can handle development. They can handle the recruitments, but they can also bring in a guy for 1 year. He can have a great year. And now Matthew Golden is about to sign a contract that is going to change his life. Recruits are paying very close attention to this position.
Evan, I like this with the Commanders. I know
with
that doesn't
Jaden Daniels.
Kingsbury, opposite of McClellan. McClellan can run the slot. Yeah,
the Redskins would love that.
Shout out to the 202, by the way. I think Golden's the only one that very unlikely could fall in the second round because wide receiver is so hard to gauge from this.
I agree.
It feels like it's a year full of wide receiver twos, and now only 20 wide receivers in the NFL can really be a wide receiver one on a real good team. Devonta Smith is a wide receiver two, and he won a damn Heisman. So it's not an insult to say that, but the Commanders is an awesome place for him to go. I think if he's there at 29, they would take him easily. That's another run to the podium, one like we talked about things at 25. But staying in division, the Cowboys at 12 has been very popular recently.
Yeah.
Almost a little too popular. Like, you're not hearing anything else about what the Cowboys are doing. He already calls Jerry Jones Coach Jerry. It's an interesting. He already has a really good relationship with them. I could really see that. They desperately need one more playmaker on that offense with CD. You don't want to draft a guy like Ibuka who's only going to play in the slot. Same with Burden.
Thank you.
You want someone that can play outside. CD works really well when he can play in the slot and outside. Golden is mostly going to be an outside guy in the NFL. Just get you a guy who can get you first downs, and it's not CD getting doubled every play. I like that one. Like Justin's already said, a trade down and picking him, the Cowboys are in a great spot. But, who knows what's going on with the Jones family at the GM spot.
Who knows? They got trades being worked up, right?
All I know is Dallas can mess this up. They can overthink this. They can screw this up. We have the proof. I don't know if I want him screwed up in Dallas. Why don't we see him somewhere where he can catch the ball?
How long is Dak's contract still for what? How many more years?
25.
As long as I think they're tied with him for 2 more seasons.
$40 million.
As long as he's playing, he's probably going to be in silver and blue. Yeah, just looking at the wide receiver core at Dallas, it's CD.
Do you remember the last Longhorn receiver for the Cowboys?
Jeff Swain, but that's a tight end.
Roy Williams.
Wow.
Do you remember before him? Wayne McGarity.
It's been a while.
You lost me here.
Wayne McGarity was the first 1,000-yard receiver in the history of Texas football.
Yeah, man, I got some thoughts on that. Kevontae Turpin being your wide receiver 3. They have their own Silas Bolden, except he still made it to the pros.
They're just terrible.
Yeah.
I want Matthew to go somewhere better.
You also, Evan, think the Cowboys at 12 are the ceiling. I think that makes sense too, just because I think we're going to be very pro Golden here. I understand. I don't believe it, but I do understand a lot of Ibuka and Burden love. I do understand the McMillan love as well. But I still think, like you've been mentioning, he's the third wide receiver. If you go Hunter in his own category, then McMillan, and then Golden.
I think what with this ceiling idea of it is that if you're going to take a receiver in the top 10 and it's not Hunter, it's McMillan. It's because you fall in love with this like traditional 6'5" dude can catch a ball anywhere you throw to him. I don't think that's what Golden is. Like we've been saying, he's a super high level wide receiver too. Probably don't want him to be leading your offense in a Super Bowl run. And that's why 12 seems like the highest. He's not going to go to the 49ers. They just drafted Pearsall. The Bears just drafted Odunze. They need help elsewhere. So I think 12 is where it's at. And then it gets a little murky in the teens. It's not a lot of huge wide receiver needs. Miami could, because who knows what Tyreek Hill is. Indianapolis needs stuff elsewhere. Atlanta needs stuff elsewhere. Arizona, Cincinnati. So that's where it's like, if it's not 12, then when is it? Is it a trade up? Is it deeper into the 20s? I still think he's the wide receiver 3 in this class. Pretty close with Ibuka for me. It just depends on what you need. That's what wide receiver is in the NFL. What can you do for me? What kind of role are you going to play? But he should be a first-round pick, top 25 in my opinion.
I don't see how you go Ibuka over him, Ibuka. I just don't. We watched him play. He's a nice player, but I don't think he's a first-rounder. If he's not at Ohio State, is he a first-rounder? I don't know. McMillan, like you said, all the physical stuff. Golden, all the stuff on the field, the fastest time at the combine, stuff like that. I am not a fan of Egbuka. And I'm not trying, Brian Hartline knows what he's doing in Columbus when it comes to receivers. That guy is a second round, third round guy, in my opinion. If he goes in the first round, somebody is reaching, which means Dallas probably.
I know. Well, I like McMillan a lot. Once he gets a better quarterback, because I know Fafita was just banged up after last year because he's 5'10" and 180. So he will probably succeed with a better quarterback and also in a good offense. And I think Golden can do the same no matter what teams look for.
I'm leery about guys that catch a football doing a flip.
Is that McMillan?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what he's known for is all those videos.
It's the between the leg, one-handed under him, jumping 40 inches.
Yeah, it's freakish stuff. I'm leery about those guys.
Hey, that really applies, though, to the NFL. You see that pretty often.
You do.
Right, DK Metcalf.
Because if you miss on it, you're always reminded. Well, he was right there, and the traits were there for everyone to see. Yeah, but there's also a major bust factor there, too.
Got a couple of questions. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to – last thing on McMillan. He's got some questions about his drive to be an NFL receiver. Like, not really wanting to show up to work. So that's where Golden could catch up on him because he loves football. He's a grinder for sure.
I'll give McMillan credit for this. He could have traded up in the offseason, made a nice check, and played somewhere bigger and decided not to. Do you hold that against him, or do you look at him in a high light with that? Because did he kind of shy away from some real competition? Or did he just want to be loyal? You can look at both of those sides.
Well, I think the thing with him was the other option was what's it called? Washington with Jed Fish, but he decided to stay home. Couple questions.
I think if he hits the portal, he could have played in any top 10, top 20 program in the country.
Yeah, easily.
I think they would have all gone and thrown at least a hook at him.
Couple questions before we get out of here. Will 3 in the first be a first? They did it in 1980. Lamb Jones, Johnny Johnson, Derek Hatchett. They went the late Steve McMichael, who just passed, was also in that draft. Number of horns by the end of the 5th, though. Real quick on this one because I know we got to get out of here.
My floor is 9 for sure.
Ooh.
You got Banks, Barron, Golden, Collins, Makuba, Williams, Helm, Bond, Ewers. By the 5th, I feel like those are all gone.
I'm with you there. I don't think Bond. I don't know. Bond might fall some more. I think he has some issues he's dealing with.
Maybe a little bit. Good draft talk. We'll be back here tomorrow night after the draft to kind of analyze this.
Chris Bennett. The Cowboys never drafted Roy Williams. The Detroit Lions drafted Roy Williams, and then he was traded to the Dallas Cowboys 4 years later.
That's right. Oh, the other – maybe he's thinking of the other –
the other Roy Williams played for OU, and he was great for about 4 or 5 years. And then they learned that he couldn't cover and that he should have been playing linebacker. But it took the league about 5 years to figure that out.
First nickel, I feel like.
Connor. He's right. Connor Williams. Connor Williams was drafted by the Cowboys. Good call, Chris. I thought you were talking about Roy.
Good draft.
Danny Hale pointed out
that one Pro Bowl call.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Excited. The draft is now exciting to cover. We'll have it fully covered over at Inside Texas. So make sure you head there. $1 can get you 4 months of access. You're going to get basically all the way up to the first week of the season. So make sure you join. And again, if you're in town in Austin this Friday, make sure you head to InsideTexas.com, or excuse me, head to the left field tailgate. We'll be in the left center field area under a tent. We'll have a banner there. Our friends at Academy are going to be providing this great raffle, all the stuff you see on the screen, omnivore griddle, hard cooler, canopy, folding chairs, tumblers, everything. No purchase necessary, must be 18, and must be present. So, Evan, Justin, thank you so much. I think LC will be back next week. But thank you. Thank you for watching Wednesday Night Live.
Back to this in the morning?
Say again? We're
coming back for some more draft talk in the morning, right?
Yep. You, me, and Ian will be chatting it up, so it should be a lot of fun.
Bring it.
All righty. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.